Hi, my love. Welcome back to another episode of Radical Radiance. So I stopped using Chat GPT for months, maybe 2 months, and learned some very interesting things. I learned some interesting things about myself. And during that time, had some very interesting conversations with some of my friends. And this is just a episode to really reflect on all those things. So why did I stop using Chat GPT? I stopped using everything in general, actually. I left Sri Lanka, packed up everything, came to Goa in India a week before my yoga teacher training. And that week was just, I think, a moment of integration in terms of starting a new chapter and wanting to settle a little bit into a new place before starting a new training and wanting to ground myself a bit. And so I spent a lot of that week just getting myself ready basically for the training. So I was doing a lot of my own yoga practice, I was meditating, spent a lot of time on the beach, spent a lot of time getting things ready, client work and things like that, so that when I was in the training itself, I could really just fully immerse in that and not have to worry about any other things that might need to get done. And in that moment, I had a lot of momentum. I changed the name of the podcast. I had all these ideas. I had this big breakthrough moment in terms of the way that I wanted to start showing up on this podcast. And then I started the training, and it was really just full immersion into it, in the sense that it was relatively intensive, I would say, and I was also doing extra trainings on the weekends, different type of training. So I didn't have any days off, and a lot of my spare time as well was I was waking up very early in the morning to do my own meditation and my own practices before then doing yoga and the yoga and meditation of the course, and then all of the other trainings and things like that. And then I always like to go to bed as early as possible. So it was a busy time. And in some moments I tried to squeeze in more things, but then just got very clear messages from life that no, you're just doing what it is that you're doing. Just focus on this. You can do this and the extra training, but that's all. And there were other little niggling things, right? I had planned, of course, to document the whole thing and to really also be present on social media as well while I was doing it. But I didn't have the right SIM card, and then there was lots of different Wi-Fis that it would switch between in the location of the teacher training. And so I would film things to upload them to YouTube, and they would either not load to my stories or not save to my phone properly. And there was just all these little things. So at some point I was okay, I get the message. I'm just gonna be immersed in this. And so as part of that, I just didn't really use my phone. I wasn't on social media. I wasn't on Instagram. I wasn't posting. I wasn't really consuming anything on there. Definitely wasn't using TikTok. And then I also just wasn't on my laptop, because I wasn't doing any extra things, creating content or getting things ready, or other than my client calls, I wasn't doing anything extra like that. So because I wasn't on my laptop, there was no need to use ChatGPT for anything. And I thought I sort of also was in a moment of not using it so much anyway. And then it was just so nice to have a big break from those things, because it really just allowed me to be back in my own essence again, back in my own energy, back in my own vibe. And then I almost went too far that way, and now it's fascinating trying to come back into this world again, back to sharing regularly on social media again, back creating podcasts, which I love. This is my big love. So in that time when I was there, it was really just funny to be watching and listening to how all of the people around me were using ChatGPT for things. And just reflecting on this, right? Because I wasn't using it. I was so sensitive to the fact of everybody else around me using it. And so there were study questions that we were supposed to be doing for the course, and people in the course were just uploading them all into ChatGPT and getting ChatGPT to give them the answers of the study questions for all kinds of different things. And then all of the bank of questions for the final exam of the yoga teacher training, also people were just loading them to ChatGPT as well, and just getting all the answers to that. And then various different friends, I heard this from so many different friends, and I laughed about it with them as well. But just the most hilarious things, from wanting to create space in their life to bring in a new partner, and really desiring to be in a relationship intentionally, And so doing specific exercises around that, one of which was to write a list of all of the qualities that you would ideally love in a partner so that you can make sure that you're embodying those things yourself, which is a good practice. That is a good practice. And then this particular friend we laughed about this together, but she just got Chat GPT to write the list for her of all the qualities she would want in a man. And I remember walking on the beach listening to this voice note from her and just laughing so hard and being like, I am not quite sure that that's the point of the exercise, but okay. And then other friends as well, like multiple other friends, dating different people and then uploading all of their chat history of the texts back and forward between them and the people that they're dating into ChatGPT and getting ChatGPT to write the messages back to that person, or not having a time to like write that person a letter of like a complicated situation that they were going through. So just getting ChatGPT to write the letter and then just sending it directly to them. Friends that are like trying to be more creative with their cooking and things like that, and then just asking ChatGPT what should they make with their ingredients that they have and giving them a recipe and then just following the recipe. Like all these different things. And of course, I'm not saying that there's not a place and a time and a very, very, very significant benefit of ChatGPT. There is, and I will get to this later at the end of the episode. But my very big concern with this is, and as I was noticing all of these things from almost every friend I was talking to, which would just be like, oh, I was thinking about this thing and then I asked ChatGPT and then ChatGPT said this and so that. And then la la la, and from everybody. And so I was just like, oh, that's so interesting. And I remember, because I was doing all of my slow walks on the beach. If you haven't listened to the episode about walking slowly, go and listen to that one as well. But I was doing all of these slow walks on the beach. So I just had so much time to like very slowly percolate ideas. And I was trying not to be like consuming a lot of things other than just voice noting friends and clients while I was doing this. So I had a lot of time on the beach to like just percolate ideas. And that fact of percolating ideas made me realize or reflect that this obsession with going to ChatGPT for the answers is a twofold thing. First of all, if that's all we're doing, if we want an answer to something, and then like if we're dating someone and we're not quite sure what we want to say to them, or we're not quite sure what the context of their message is and what we want to say back to them, if we go to ChatGPT to do that for us, then there's two things that are happening there in one sense. The first thing is that we're giving all of our power away to something else, because all that does then is send the signal to ourselves that we can't do it ourselves. And this is exactly the opposite of what we need to be doing to be creating confidence in ourselves, right? The more we outsource our power to other things, the less power we have ourselves. And power in the sense of confidence, power in the sense of knowing that you can do something because you're doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like giving yourself proof that you can do it because you're doing it. That's what confidence is. It's proof. And that's why you can't fake it, because you can't fake proof. So if you're not able to sit in the discomfort of an uncomfortable message exchange and really examine what it is in yourself that's coming up for you, what's making you uncomfortable, what do you want to communicate back, how can you communicate that in a way that is compassionate but gets your point across, where you're setting boundaries if you need to set boundaries, where you're making your point clearly, but also making the other person feel validated and supported, finding that nuance within yourself, and then sending that message. And then after that, maybe, or after you've composed your own message, maybe then asking ChatGPT if there's a way that you could make it clearer, or these kind of things. Same with all of the other things. You've got all the ingredients in your house, right? You open your cupboard, what have you got in there? You've got some broccolini, you have a beetroot, you've got some sprouts, you have some rice noodles, you've got various different sauces, you have some eggs, you have just, I don't know, like a whole bunch of different things in there. And instead of immediately going to ChatGPT and being like, what have I got? What can I make with these things? Why not just for a moment think, what could I make with those things first? Can I come up with those ideas myself first, so that I can show myself that I am somebody that can generate their own ideas? Do you know what I mean? I can come up with my own recipe. I know what I could make with this. And then have your own idea. And then if you need to, then go to Chat GPT and be like, oh, can you refine this idea anymore? And then maybe go from there, maybe refine it more after Chat GPT brings you something back. But it's almost creating this situation where we're becoming incapable of doing things ourselves because we need to check in with this other entity. When we were children, we used to do this with our parents, right? We used to have doubts and uncertainty about if we were doing something properly. And our parents would chime in and be like, oh, this activity that you're doing, maybe you could do it better in this other way. And we'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe I could do this thing better in my other way. Then we became adults, quote unquote, who are living life autonomously, who have learned enough things about ourselves and enough things about life that we can navigate life relatively freely and relatively safely ourselves. And now it's almost like we're reverting back to this state, especially when we're not generating these things for ourselves first and refining it with ChatGPT. If we're coming to ChatGPT to do these things for us, we're just becoming children again that need our parents to do everything for us because we are incapable of doing it ourselves. And it's not that we're incapable of doing it ourselves, but that's what proof we're giving ourselves in these moments, right? If we can't make a list ourselves of the qualities that we want in a partner and we're outsourcing that to another power, another entity, the message that we're sending to ourselves in this moment is that I'm incapable of coming up with a list of qualities that I want in a future partner, which is just completely the wrong message to be sending ourselves, because it's not any sort of thing that's generating power or confidence or clarity within our own being, within our own self, to give ourselves the proof that we can do that. Right? And it's also just kind of lazy. I get that it's nice that we have these things that can save us time. And for sure, like if there's things that can save us time, like I don't know off the top of my head. I haven't been using ChatGPT recently, so I can't immediately think of something off the top of my head. But like, yeah, if you wanted to generate something quickly, if it was an unimportant list maybe, that wasn't something the list of qualities you want, there's nothing more important than the list of qualities that you want in a partner. Like, what more important thing could there be in your life? If that's something that you genuinely is really, really, really important to your life, what more important thing could there be to spend your time on than sitting down and actually putting a lot of time and energy and effort into coming up with a very, very, very comprehensive, very deep, very well thought out list of qualities that you would want in a partner, so that you could deeply go into your being and examine whether you're embodying them yourself, so that then you can find those things in a partner. Do you know what I mean? If you're not even willing to sit down and put in that time and energy and effort into doing that list, and I know you're going to listen to this podcast, the person who did this, and I love you. And I love that we've got enough openness between us that we can share this openly. I know that you will laugh at this. But do you know what I mean? And same with anything else. If you say that your health is important to you, but you open your cupboard and you're not willing to put in the effort and creativity to be able to think of how to put some ingredients together, to be able to cook yourself a meal, to be able to eat something that you've created from your own self, from your own being, what kind of message is that sending to yourself? What kind of message is that sending to life about how willing you are to apply energy and effort into something that is important to you? Because we have to think about the kind of messages that we're sending to ourselves, and we have to think about the kind of messages that we're sending to life. There's nothing more important than that. There is nothing more important than that, right? And it is so obvious when people are generating things. It's so obvious when something is written by ChatGPT. It is so obvious. I find it so glaringly obvious. And I'll tell you right now, I have zero interest in reading anything that is clearly generated from ChatGPT. I open Instagram, I can see captions, I can see reels, like text on reels. I am completely bombarded in my emails with newsletters written by AI, and I swipe past them faster than you can imagine because I have absolutely no interest in consuming something not written by a genuine human being. There is so much information out there. I don't care what ChatGPT has written. I care what you've written. I care what your experiences are. I care that it's written in your words and something that you've exerted a lot of energy and effort and attention and intention into creating something beautiful, so that it can be real, so that it's authentic, so that it reads authentically. There is something in myself that knows. Just like there's something in yourself that knows. And it's like the difference between going to a supermarket and buying a birthday cake for somebody that's been made on a conveyor belt in a factory, a chocolate cake where they've churned out 1,000 of them. And you can tell that they taste like plastic, right? It doesn't have any flavor. It doesn't have any essence. It doesn't have any quality of being. It doesn't feel like anything. It doesn't taste like anything. It has no gravity of existence, of essence, of love, of any kind of emotion, of any kind of effort that's been put into it. Compare that to when you go to your mom's house or your friend's house and it's your birthday and they've baked you a cake from scratch for your birthday, and you can taste the love and the intention and the effort that has gone into that cake. It's a completely different experience. It's a completely different entity of a cake. It has a completely different impact on your being. It has a completely different impact on yourself. The fact that somebody has gone to all of that energy and effort to create something for you, to create something. It's like the feeling that you feel when you go into an art gallery and you come in contact with an enormous artwork. Maybe it's like meters big. There's some in the National Gallery of Victoria that I can think of that are like old friends to me. I go back and visit them every time I'm in Melbourne, and I can look at every single brushstroke. Sometimes I could spend an hour in front of just one painting. And I could spend an hour in front of one corner of that painting, in fact, and I can see 1,000 layers of brushstrokes in different textures, in different qualities, in different viscosities, with different types of oil paint, with different types of color, in different brushstroke qualities. You can tell if it's been painted with a brush that has flat bristles or a brush that is so tiny that maybe it only has a few tiny round bristles. You can see them, you can interact with it, you can feel something, you can feel how many years it took that artist to make that painting with that level of dedication and devotion and that level of full immersion of them into that creation. It feels completely different to looking at an AI generated artwork online. Do you know what I mean? And I hope you've had this experience. I hope you know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to read something on social media. Some beautiful, beautiful writers that I follow on Instagram. And I read their things and I can tell that they've put their heart and soul into it because it touches my heart and soul. It's like the two things recognize each other. And it's such a glaring difference between that and I could open one of 30 things in my inbox that are written by Chat GPT that don't feel like anything to me. It doesn't impact my being in any way. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing. And the second thing is that, first of all, the first thing of the second thing is that, first of all, this can just be lazy, pure laziness. And I know that we're all busy and we have a lot of things to do, but the things that are important in our life, it's important that we spend time and energy and effort on them. There are moments to outsource things that are unimportant to us. But if it's something that is your life and your passion, why would you ever want to outsource that? And I remember a friend telling me about someone that they met in Bali who has apparently a very popular podcast. And this is how he makes his podcast. He goes to ChatGPT, ChatGPT writes him a podcast, and then he has trained this AI system on his voice to read things in his voice. He then feeds the article that ChatGPT has written into this AI software for his voice to read it, which then generates a podcast episode, which he then uploads to his podcast. So he hasn't created what he's saying. He hasn't even spoken it himself, and he's uploading that to some sort of podcast that people are listening to. And I don't understand how this could possibly be either something that gives him any satisfaction in his life. I'm sure it makes him money, but how could you have this as something that you're passionate about? And then how can people consume this information that hasn't come from the essence of your being? Do you know what I maybe that would make me money, but I have no interest in doing that. Like, why would I want to share something with you that hasn't come from the depths of my being, that I've lived in my own life, that is something I can speak about with so much passion because I care? And because you can feel that is because you care, right? And it touches something in you because it touches something in me. So then, I'm getting myself dizzy talking about this. So then, and I've lost my train of thought now, but then the whole point of that is that we are exerting energy and effort into creating something meaningful and something with beauty and something with essence and something that is important because it means something to us, because we've lived it as part of our experience. And why that is important is because the answer is never the important thing. And I'm learning, I can speak so conclusively about this because this is something I'm living very actively in my own life at the moment, something that I'm creating many new layers of depth with. It's never the answer that is important. It's the way that we live that answer and the way that we are very, very, very actively collaborating with life in order to explore it more and understand it in our being, because life is bringing us the opportunities, the people, the places, the very random chance encounters, the exact experiences that we need in order to take something that we've learned, integrate it through learned experience, through lived experience in our life. And only then can the answer have any kind of real, tangible meaning in our life. So I can read a book about all of the benefits of meditation, right? Every single thing about it, all of the facts about it, all of the science behind it, all of the lived experiences of other people and what they've discovered through meditation and all of these kind of things. I can read all of those kind of things. I can get all of those answers. But until I have woken up every morning and meditated every morning, whether I want to or not, and experimented with different types of meditation and explored what's happening in my inner world. What is in there? How does it make me a different person when I understand different things that are happening in there? What happens if I do this every day for a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years? How does that change me as a person? How does that change how I live my life? How does the fact that I've meditated this morning make me interact differently with the people I meet in my day? How does it make me feel different in the way that I am communicating with life and the things that I understand? And so it's never really about having the answer per se, or like having a tangible, nice, discrete package of information. And this is something I struggle with constantly because I love information. I love it so much. My whole life I've been obsessed with why. Why is this the way that it is? Why is that? How does this work? What is the reasoning behind this? What's the science behind that? Tell me how exactly, break it down. How does this work? Let me understand it. Let me unpack it and repack it. All of these different things. I'm a 1-3 in human design. This will always be my biggest blessing and my biggest curse, I think. But I'm learning more and more and more and more that it's never about where you're getting to. It's always the journey and the struggle of trying to understand things and to take them apart and to live them, to integrate them into your life, to explore them in different ways, in different contexts, in different outcomes, and then put them back together in a way that is real. It's not about Chat GPT writing you the list of qualities that you want in your partner. It's about you going into your being and saying, what are my qualities? What are my own qualities in my own life? What are the qualities of my best friends? What is the quality of my mom? What are the qualities of my mom, my dad? What are the qualities of my siblings? What are the qualities of the people that I most admire? Why are those things important to me? In what ways do they change my life? In what ways do they change the way that I am as a person? Why are they important to me? What are some qualities that are not important to me? And why are they not important to me? What are some qualities that I actively dislike? Why? What happened in my life? You know, it's not about the answer. It's not about like the perfect text message to respond to the person that you're dating, saying your perfect boundary. It's about what parts of me are feeling activated? What parts of me need more support, that I can identify myself, that I can give compassion to and give understanding to? And how can I challenge myself to be more compassionate with the other person? How can I challenge myself to see things from their point of view and to try and understand something different from the way that I would reflexively understand it and the things that I would reflexively say? How could I communicate this better? How could I communicate this in a way that has more nuance and more depth? How can I use analogies maybe to get my point across better? How can I, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And it's not about like just having a nice discrete thing that we can then comfortably be like, oh yeah, I know that thing. I've got that list. I got ChatGPT to make me a recipe. We never then have to go to the cupboard and get all of those random things and put them all in the pot and then taste it and be like, what does this need? What could I add to this that would give it more flavor? What could I add that would balance this texture? It's a little bit salty. Could I add some lime juice? Could I add some honey? How would that make it more well-rounded of a flavor? What kind of flavor am I trying to create? How do I want to feel? What am I trying to create here? You know? And so in this thing of making things more convenient for ourselves, we're losing our creativity. We're losing our ability to think for ourselves. We're losing our ability to take a large amount of information and consolidate it ourselves into something tangible and meaningful that we have generated ourselves. And in some ways, this was so difficult. These were skills that I remember like in high school, in uni, doing my master's, having to read like 20 research papers and analyze them and just spend days like taking points from each article and then like consolidating those and trying to put them into a cohesive thing of my own opinion or my own consolidation, my own synthesization. I made up that word just now. Synthesis of what I'm trying to say. Put things together coherently in a way that makes sense, in paragraphs that make sense, in a linear fashion, so that somebody else can read it and it will make sense to them. And now we've got this thing that saves us all of those things, but do you know what we're going to do? We're going to lose this skill unless we're using it. And we can see this so clearly. I can see this so clearly looking back. Like, think about our grandparents, right? When my grandparents were my age, they didn't have a mobile phone, they didn't have the internet. So they had something that I've lost. They had the ability to retain information, because they had to put a lot of energy and effort into going and getting that information. If they wanted to know how something worked, they had to go to the library and find out that information. They had to go and find somebody that had a book about that thing, or find somebody that had that expertise and learn it from that person or that book. And then either they had to retain that information, or when they forgot it, they had to go back again to go into the library again to get that book, or go back to that person again to get that information, to have it again. Me, I have to Google how long it takes to boil an egg every time I boil an egg, because I can. Do you know what I mean? Because that information is so readily available. All I have to do is pull out my phone and Google it. So I don't have to retain that information anymore. So I've really lost that. We've lost it collectively. Now we're losing the ability to take a large amount of information and synthesize it into something meaningful for ourselves, to create something from that for ourselves. And yes, it's saving us time and energy, just like it saved our grandparents. It saves us now the energy and time that it took our grandparents to have to go and find information. But at what cost? At the cost of creativity, at the cost of the ability to even be able to have the attention span to take a lot of information and consolidate it into something cohesive and generate something from that ourselves, right? We don't want to lose that skill. I don't want to lose that skill. And this is where it comes in that we can use Chat GPT other than like using it for time-saving tasks, which I can't really think of what they are right now. Oh, I guess it's like when you Google something and it comes up with the AI generated thing, like that's a kind of a time-saving thing, I guess, where you would just get that information from Google and it gives you like an AI overview. But if we want to be using Chat GPT in a way that's not depleting our abilities in this way, go and do the thing first and then refine it with Chat GPT, but make it collaborative, right? This is how the people in my life that use Chat GPT really, really effectively, in a way that I admire, are using it now. Not to just not think about anything and get somebody to give you the answer, which you've exerted no effort to do, because then it's going to have no impact on you. You're going to forget it straight away. Oh, ChatGPT, tell me this thing. Can you give me this answer? Yes. And then it'll be like, oh, do you want me to generate you a flowchart about this? Oh, yes, please. Do you want me to generate you some... I was laughing about this with a client the other day, that she was getting ChatGPT to write journal prompts for her to explore this thing about herself. And then she was like, oh, I actually don't have time to answer these journal prompts. So she got ChatGPT to answer them for her. And we were laughing so hard about like, what's the point of that? It saves you time, but at what cost? You've done no inquiry into your own being. You've exerted no energy, no effort into coming up with those things. So it's absolutely going to have no impact on your life or your being whatsoever. So you may as well just not do it in the first place. So if you want to make it something meaningful, go and put a lot of energy and effort and attention into doing the thing. Because if it's something worth doing, really, isn't it worth doing properly? If it's worth going and writing a list of qualities that you want in a partner, isn't it worth going and doing it properly? So go and do it properly. Go and make the list yourself, and then bring that to Chat GPT and say, can you help me learn more about myself through this list? Can you reflect to me, things that maybe I haven't understood about myself, that I could explore and examine more deeply in myself from this list? Can you maybe suggest things that I might have missed based on things that you know about me, or based off things that are in this list that I can think about and maybe add to this list? Take your list of ingredients that you've got in your cupboard and think of something cool. Think of a nice recipe, and then go to ChatGPT and be like, what do you think about this? Or even better yet, make it yourself, and then be like, how was it nice? Was it not nice? What did I think? Could it have been more flavoursome? And then go and ask ChatGPT and be like, this is what I had, this is what I made. How could I do it better next time? Can you suggest me some things that I could buy just to have in my pantry that would be nice ways to add more complexity of flavour? Do you know what I mean? Instead of getting ChatGPT to write your newsletter article for your business, go and write it yourself. What could be possibly more important to you than your business? And speaking your truth and sharing the essence of your being with the people that you care about, that care about your business. We don't want more plastic things in this life. I don't want more plastic things in my life. I'm very actively disengaging from everything in my life that has the essence of things written by AI. I want things written by you, by real people. I want a birthday cake that's baked by you, with your love, with your attention. I don't care if it doesn't look perfect. I don't want a shop-bought one where there's 5,000 million of them that exist that look exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? So let's not lose our creativity. Let's not lose our ability to synthesize things for ourselves. Let's not lose the passion that it takes to create an artwork that's going to take you 5 years to make, but it's okay because you care about it so much and you want it to take 5 years because it should take 5 years, because that's how long it takes to create a masterpiece. That's how long it takes to do each individual brushstroke with that much passion. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this is what I reflected on in my ChatGPT thing, and there's many other conversations about many other hilarious things that friends and clients and everybody has been doing with ChatGPT. And the more we laugh about it, the more we realize that it's absurd. The more we realize that it's funny, and that it's also a cause for alarm how quickly it has become such a normal part of our life. And I'm not saying don't use it, but I'm saying use it with care. Use it with effort. Use it with energy. Don't use it mindlessly. Don't use it in a lazy way. Use it as a way to go even deeper into your own being, because you've already gone deep yourself first, and then go deeper, and then yourself go deeper, and then collaborate and go deeper. Do you know what I mean? So tell me what you think. I get that this might be a little bit controversial for some people. I needed space from ChatGPT to realize these things myself. We need people to reflect these things to us, to realize them. We need to have this experience ourselves. But I loved experiencing this and realizing this for myself. So I hope that it brings something interesting to you. Please let me know what this episode brought up for you. I would love to know. Love you.